when and one second. All right. What is the SAI? When and where can a student find the SAI? Formula changes, EFC versus SAI, how the SAI is calculated, determining Pell eligibility, and I will leave the last bit for any questions or thoughts. All right, so first things first, what is the SAI? The Student Aid Index, or SAI, is the output of a process FAFSA and determine each student's eligibility for certain types of federal aid, as well as some state aid and perhaps institutional aid. I'm sorry, Trisha, you can advance. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to, but the PowerPoint was not cooperating. Give me 1 second.
Also,
I
okay.
will. No, that's fine. I don't know what's happening on my end. Seems that now I am stuck in some kind of loop here. Okay, hold on a second, y'all. I apologize. Apparently, technology is not cooperating with me this morning. Okay, I seem to be having some technology difficulties with my PowerPoint, which is now.
I can try, Teresa.
Okay, yeah, I can't even get back to the Zoom screen at the moment. I'm not sure what is happening. I may actually need to depart if I can. So if you want to share your screen, I'm gonna actually leave and try to log back in.
All right.
All right.
Let's see. Okay, let me see. All right. All right. We're going to jump right in. Technology will not win today. We will win today. All right. The Student Aid Index, or SAI, is the output of a process FAFSA and determine each student's eligibility for certain types of federal aid, as well as some state aid and perhaps institutional aid. The SAI is a student's approximate financial resources to contribute toward their education for one school year. Where can you find the Student Aid Index, or the SAI? You can find it immediately after submitting the FAFSA. You receive a estimated SAI. The SAI determines your eligibility for federal aid. You will next have your FAFSA submission summary in 3 to 5 days and review carefully for accuracy. So the submission summary is, in fact, the new verbiage for the student aid report, or the SAR, is now the submission summary. All right, formula changes. Removes the number of family members in college from calculation. They still will ask you this question on the FAFSA, but the number of family members in college from the calculation is not a part of the actual calculation. Creates the possibility for SAI to be a negative number with a minimum SAI of negative 1,500. It also now considers the net worth of all businesses, including small family businesses and farms, regardless of size or number of employees. All right, so EFC, expected family contribution, versus SAI. In the past, as you know, the EFC was the report. Now the SAI is the readout. So the household EFC household size was reported by the applicant. Now the SAI family size is based on tax returns. Business and farms with fewer than 100 employees are accounted as an asset. And the SAI, business and farms of any size, are counted as an asset. And the number of college impacts the EFC, but now the number in college no longer impacts the SAI. However, they still will ask for the information, but it no longer impacts the SAI. All right. How is the SAI calculated? To calculate a student aid index, is a need-based analysis is conducted. It includes the student income and assets, the parent or parents' income and assets, if applicable, and tax and untaxed income, as well as any assets and benefits received, such as unemployment or Social Security. All right. As we know, the FAFSA opens up in December at some point, to be determined. Hopefully we get that date pretty soon. It will help us all. But in the meantime, there is a federal student aid estimator that provides an estimate of how much federal student aid the student may be eligible to receive. This is a screenshot of that estimator, which can be found on studentaid.gov in the meantime. All right. Determining Pell Grant eligibility. So maximum and minimum Pell Grant eligibility can be determined early through poverty tables based on the family's AGI and family size. This process only determines eligibility for maximum and minimum award amounts. You still need to fill out the FAFSA to receive the actual Pell Grant. Okay. Student aid index calculation. Students can still qualify based on the calculated SAI as determined by the FAFSA. The award amount is determined by the calculation of max Pell minus the SAI. And I will note that students can be eligible for both ways, but they will receive the higher amount for which they are eligible. Okay. All right. As we all continue to navigate this better FAFSA process, we have a few workshops coming into the fall and the winter and even into next year. Our next workshop is December 6th at 6 p.m. at our office. We will be sure to send you this workshop information as well as a PDF of the slides after this workshop as well.
Ricky, can I just interject here for those of you who are on the call? So we have made every effort to promote these workshops as being in person at the Scholarship Foundation's offices, and that information was overlooked by some folks in our October workshop. And so we ended up doing that workshop as both a virtual and an in-person offering. And we will be offering that for the December 6th FAFSA workshop as well. So if by any chance it has been a deterrent or a detraction to those students and families that you work with that these are in person, we will actually be having the December 6th one available in person and available via Zoom. So I just wanted to share that information. They just need to register via the link that Grace just dropped in the chat, and we will be sending communication to them in the next few days here with details about that workshop.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. And thank you, Grace, for dropping in the chat. All right. And this is our team. That is me, Teresa, and Grace, who are both on a call, and Dominique and DJ, who are actually at an event today. So if you need any assistance, support throughout this process, you can feel free to reach out to any one of us via email or phone. And this is how you can contact us as well. This is our website and our phone number. And I appreciate you all's time. And I will open up for any questions or thoughts. And if I have the answer, I will do my best. If not, we have my illustrious colleagues on the call as well to assist. But again, I want to appreciate all of your time for hopping on this early Friday morning as we prepare to help better support and assist our students. All right.
Ricky, I know you addressed that the under the new calculation on the FAFSA, the SAI will utilize household size from tax returns. Can you address whether or not families will be able to update that information if things have changed?
Yeah, so it will ask for the information, but you are able to update that information on the FAFSA. Yes. Thank you, Teresa.
I also There's been some conversation, at least in our office, about did you address, because I know I missed part of it, the groups of families who are exempt from reporting assets? So there are some groups of students and families who will be exempt from reporting assets on the FAFSA. And I think that will be especially important this year, given the inclusion of businesses and family farms as assets or net worth on the FAFSA. And so the way the language is written, students and families will be exempt from reporting assets if their adjusted gross income is $60,000 or less, or if they are a recipient of a federal means tested benefit, including the free or reduced lunch program. So that's just important information to have, because families who can indicate either that they received a means tested benefit or whose income is below that threshold would not be required to answer those asset questions. And so I just wanted to make you aware of that particular piece.
Yes, thank you, Teresa.
We have a question in the chat from Angie. What is the maximum amount of Pell this year?
Seven. I don't want to misquote. Do you know what it is exactly, Teresa?
It's 7,395. If Congress increases it for the 24-25 school year, that likely wouldn't happen until sometime in the spring. So at present, the determination or the calculation for how much Pell a student will receive is going to be based off of that 73.95. Again, assuming they're eligible for Pell via the SAI as opposed to the maximum or minimum determination.
Thank you.
All right, we have a couple more questions that are coming in. So Michelle asked, do we know the process yet for students whose parents do not have a social security number? I'm assuming that's related to setting up an FSA ID.
Do you want to address that, Ricky, or do you want me to?
Yes, we just had the presentation yesterday. Let me see if I can recall. So I know historically you would enter the 9 zeros. Now you do not. Gosh, it's in my mind. You go ahead, Teresa.
No, it's okay. So we just learned about it yesterday, Michelle, and so I would say that we have more information than we did 24 hours ago, but still some questions. So what I understand is that families will indicate, or so parent or parents who do not have a social security number would indicate that there will be a box to check. And then it will sort of gray out that social security field, and they wouldn't be able to, like, it won't have anything in that field. They do not have to have an ITIN. And even though the process for identity verification will go through TransUnion, they were very clear yesterday that there would be no form of a credit check or credit like requirement involved in this. So really the FSA ID setup process is going to look the same all the way through the end of what a typical student or family with a social security number sees. They're going to enter their contact information. They're going to create those challenge questions. And then at the conclusion, once they've gotten all the way to the end, there will be those knowledge-based identity questions. They gave an example of what those might look like yesterday on the call with Federal Student Aid. So there are things like, you know, which of these addresses have you never lived at? And so the piece that I think is going to be really important for those of us who are working with families who do not have social security numbers, and I did take a picture of this because I thought it was going to be so important. So there will be some individuals who, for whatever reason, cannot get through that knowledge-based verification process. And so those individuals will have to do some kind of attestation form that will be available on studentaid.gov. And then they will have to provide proof of identity. And so here's the piece that I think is going to be tricky, and I can send you this picture via email, Michelle. They're going to have to provide proof of identity, and that can be one of the following: either their driver's license, a state or city ID card, or a foreign passport. It's really important that we recognize that these documents have to be unexpired. So I think that's going to be a challenge perhaps for some individuals. Alternately, if they cannot provide one of those documents, they would be able to provide a utility bill and one of the following forms of ID: a municipal identification card, a community ID, or a counselor identification card. So I do think we have more to learn. And I think I saw that Sherelle popped in the chat something about that too. But I don't know that we know everything we would like to know, and the process won't be available until sometime in December. It sounds like it will launch simultaneously with the FAFSA opening, so not beforehand.
Thank you, Teresa. I also see a question, what taxes for the 24-25 FAFSA application? Yes, it's your 2022 taxes.
And then it looks like there's one more question about using the federal student aid estimator versus using the AGI for Pell eligibility. Can you speak a little on the difference regarding those two kind of estimation tools?
From my understanding, they're both tools that you can use to estimate your Pell eligibility. I feel like and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Teresa, but the AGI table just shows you max or minimum, and the estimator gives you a more, I guess, accurate number if it's in between the maximum or the minimum.
Yeah, so I think the federal student aid estimator is intended to give you an estimate of your SAI, perhaps, and then again, your potential Pell eligibility. The tables, the poverty tables that are used to determine Pell are only for maximum Pell awards or minimum Pell awards. So they're based off of the household size and the adjusted gross income. And so I think those are intended partially for early awareness. So you might use some of that information with families in early awareness activities to kind of give them a sense of, you know, based on this information, it gives you an idea that you may qualify for a maximum Pell Grant or at least the minimum Pell Grant. So I do think there's a distinction between the two. There are similarities, but there is a distinction. So that's a good question, Angie. And we have some resources regarding that Ricky has created regarding the use of the poverty tables to determine maximum and minimum Pell eligibility, and we will be sure to include them in the follow-up email for this this series next week.
Still said, thanks for the info. I'm sure I feel better. It'll get better. Honestly, when I have played with the what they have out now, it seemed like it's, you know, going to be pretty user friendly. And also, we also have been discussing internally that if a family has not had a student that has done the FAFSA, you know, it might be a little daunting to us, but we try to not communicate that to the family, because if they didn't know last year, then they don't know how different it is. So I think the way I will connect with families that have not experienced the FAFSA is to try not to show that it's a little confusing and kind of just set like united front, because they won't know that it's a whole lot of changes. So it's just something to think about too. All right, any more questions? If not, we will be sending out a few resources, the workshop, and this presentation as well to you all. And thank you again for your time, and I appreciate what you all do for students in the area. You're welcome.